So let's get started. Yesterday we were talking about a three-headed dragon that you may run into in your transition from your older technology to your newer technology. And the three heads on that dragon were protocol and language, deployment pattern, and multi-cloud. And what I was trying to convince you of yesterday is that by being agnostic to these things, you were going to be successful in your transformation by not being locked into the way that somebody tells you you need to do things, to do it the way that it works for you. And Augusto also started in the very start of the keynote yesterday talking about the full life cycle. And that sounds super markety and kind of not an engineering thing, right? But to me, what matters about the full life cycle is the fact that it's facilitated by that need to transform. And the reason why is because you're going to deploy services, you're going to run services, and then you're going to hopefully end of life some services, right? But at the same time, as I mentioned yesterday, and I say this sort of flippantly, in terms of, deploying things and end of lifing things. But one of the things that we hear today in the Silicon Valley, but also all over the United States and the world, is if you just deploy everything on the newest technology, everything will be fine. All your problems will be solved, right? But we all know that that's actually not necessarily true. You're going to be bringing some of these things along with you in the journey that you go through the course of your career, and as you move the services that you deliver value to your customers with, from the older technologies to the newer technologies that make your life easier. And like I mentioned before, I jokingly said, some of the things will never go away. But in reality, the truth is, it's more of a transition. They feel like they'll never go away. It might be a 5-year journey to get off of the thing that you're on now onto the next thing. And so, the thing I hope to leave you with as you leave the conference and as you go back to your jobs and as you build the things that deliver value for your customers, the important part of how you do that is that you should use the thing that's the right tool for the job, right? And with that, I'm very excited to announce the next version of Enterprise, Kong 2020. Now, but before I start, I did want to leave one note in your head, which is that a lot of you are using the self-managed on-premise version of Kong. But I wanted to leave a little kind of tick in your ear that we also have a full-featured, all the features of Enterprise in a managed cloud version of the product. So go ahead and explore it. There's a free trial. There's a way to get access to it right away. You could probably even get it today on the way home if you wanted to. So just a note. So, let's talk a little bit about the dev portal. We've gotten some feedback from you folks, and we've done some innovations over the course of the year that I hope that you're going to be excited about. And one of the biggest things that we noticed was that we gave you the power to do whatever you wanted to do in the dev portal, but we didn't give you the power to do it easily, right? It was a very powerful platform. You could push files in and out, skin it however you wanted, but you had to kind of do it yourself. But let's go ahead and go into the Kong Manager and start looking at what we've given you today. So if you go to the Dev Portal tab inside of the Kong Manager, you can see that we have all the dev portals that are available inside of the platform. If we go to the default and click on the overview, you can see we've dropped in and it's enabled. Let's go ahead and open the default portal that you get out of the box. So this is what you're going to get out of the box today if you just spin up a Kong node and enable the right port. But if we go back into the Kong Manager, we've added the Appearance tab. If we scroll down, as you can see, we've added a full skinning UI to allow you to quickly change and colors and the images and other things in the dev portal with just a couple of clicks. Let's go ahead and change the hero to a color like a light blue, something interesting like a light blue. Yeah, perfect. And let's go and take a look at the header, and let's change it to something like a light gray. Now, as you can see at the top there, background for header tells you quickly with annotations what each one of these buttons are going to change inside of the dev portal, so you can, in 5 or 10 minutes figure out what you're going to change. So let's go ahead and save our changes and go back to the dev portal and refresh. And you can see all of our changes take effect in just a couple of seconds. So there you go, quick skinning of the dev portal by a UI. Now, another thing that people asked when I was on the road, particularly I was in Australia 3 or 4 months ago and talked to some really, really great folks at some of the largest banks in the world. They said that they were really interested in having a way for their people inside of their organizations to publish APIs and have everybody be able to find those APIs and then use them without having to reinvent the wheel. So let's go ahead and up to the top and click on the service catalog. And you can see that we've added a quick place for anybody who uses the dev portal to log in and find any of the specs and any of the APIs that are available inside the company. Now, if you go ahead and click in that search box and we type in pets, you can see that it's, well, that's interesting. There we go. All right. So if you type in pets, you can see that the Swagger Pet Store app is the only one that's available. So you can quickly search textually for the things you're looking for. But I'd also direct you to the left-hand side, where we have the categories part, where you can find any of the buckets that you're interested in for the types of APIs you're looking for, and you can customize this by some tags inside of the OpenAPI file when you publish it to the dev portal. And so with that, everyone in your organization can find the stuff that your teams are working on. Service catalog inside dev portal. Now, the next thing that people asked for was the ability to have very granular permissions inside of the dev portal so that you were able to slice and dice things based off of the roles that you have when you log in. So let's go back to the manager, and we'll go down to the permissions tab, permissions menu. And you can see here we not only have a roles tab, but also a content tab. So let's go ahead and create a role. You can name it something silly, whatever we want. And you even have a chance to put in a comment here so you remember what the heck the silly role means. Let's go ahead and create that. And now if we go to the Content tab, you see all of the files that are available, and this is by a granular sort of page view. And you can decide something like, I only want the silly role to be able to access the pet store YAML file. I don't want other folks to be able to see that spec. So you can see we can choose silly, we can go ahead and save our changes, and at that point, that file is only available to folks with that role when they log into the dev portal. So granular permissions inside of the Kong dev portal. So, with that, we finished the first node on the production side. As I mentioned before, we looked at pre-production and post-production yesterday. Today we're focusing a lot on production, and you're going to hear some interesting stuff about open source later from some of the engineers as well. But before we do that, let's go ahead and generate some traffic. Let's go ahead and create some gRPC traffic. Go ahead and create some regular traffic. And let's go inside of Studio and generate some GraphQL traffic like we did yesterday. Now, the reason we're doing this is because if we switch back into the Kong Manager, what I'm hoping to show you is that we've been utilizing the Kong Manager through all of the demos over the course of the last 2 days. And if we scroll down and look at the workspaces, you can see that the power of the different protocols inside of Kong. You can see that each one of these workspaces is based on a different protocol. So like I said before, with the same platform, you can have each one of the protocols that your teams might be using, and they don't have to use the same stuff. And you're still going to get that one unified view of all of the different services, no matter what protocol they're running on, and what your teams choose to use. And so it goes a little unsung, but the power of workspaces inside of Kong Manager is something that I really wanted to show today. So I hope you go play with it later. And another thing that goes unsung inside of the product is role-based access control and some of the grouping and management of users inside of it that we've had in the product for quite a while. And we realized that what we needed to do was actually make it a little bit more obvious and a little more top level for you guys so that we could really express the power of what was available. And so I'd like to click on Kong Teams up at the top of the demo here. And you can see that we've coalesced all of the roles and everything into a top-level permissions engine that has both admins, roles, and RBAC users all in one place. Now, if you click on the Roles tab, you can see that there's roles for every single workspace. So you can set completely different roles and completely different RBAC permissions for each one of these teams that you have, and they never need to know about each other's permissions or roles at all. For those of you who use CI/CD, all of this is also available via the admin API. So you can do all of this in a very automated way, or you could use declarative config to set this up, or even DB import to set this up on a regular basis. So that deploying clusters and deploying new platforms of Kong inside of your organization can be a click of a button instead of a GUI permission. But if we scroll down, you can see we give you a couple of roles out of the box that are indicative of what we're expecting you to be able to do. But these are not the only things that you can do. This role-based access control can be as granular as you like or as bold as you like. And so that's Kong Teams inside of Kong Manager. Now, one last thing I'd like to show you is something that we saw sort of in passing yesterday. But if you go back and click on workspaces up at the top and scroll down, you can see that we have a gRPC workspace. So let's go in and explore the services inside of that workspace. You can see we have one service. And if you click into that service and poke around, you can see that it is, in fact, of protocol gRPC. And you can see that down at the bottom, we have a couple of routes set up. We have not only a specific endpoint for gRPC set up, but we also have a general route that'll pick up the introspection as well. So not only do we have gRPC support in the open source version, you can also graphically administer it or administer it on the admin API inside of Enterprise. So there's gRPC inside of Kong Enterprise. So now, we've just finished the two production circles inside of the full lifecycle of management of services. And I have one more surprise for you before we go into open source land. And it's something I think everybody's pretty excited about, which is Kafka support inside of Kong. So there were two use cases that we ended up finding when we were out on the road talking to people who were using Kafka to do things. And Confluence's summit was right before this, and they're sort of a sister company of ours. We know, Neha, the CTO, is a friend of ours. And what we ended up hearing was that people wanted to have event-based services. So basically, asynchronous services that pushed hits on and off of Kafka queues and were processed at whatever time they could be processed and returned when they were done. So we have the first piece of that today. We will be delivering the second piece as well, but let me show you what we have today in terms of integrating with Kafka and putting a RESTful interface in front of that for you. So the first thing that we're going to show is the Kafka logging plugin. Now, the value proposition of this one is that you can set up a plugin on a service or a route inside of Kong Enterprise. And when you make requests to that service, either successfully or unsuccessfully, we'll automatically push the logging output of Kong onto a Kafka queue for coalescing and putting into a third-party tool for slicing and dicing of how your services are running. So if you go ahead and make a request, you can see that as we make requests, we push log hits onto a Kafka queue subscribed to a particular topic, right, a logging topic. So that's one of the first use cases that we heard people ask for, and some people had built even custom scripts to do this. And so we thought, well, we should make that easier for people. Now, the second use case that I'm very excited about, which is the first half of the sort of Kafka lifecycle, is the ability to push any arbitrary message onto a Kafka queue from inside of Kong and from a RESTful service. So as you can see here, we have the Kafka Upstream plugin. The value prop of this one is that you can send any arbitrary message, as you can see here inside of our trusty friend studio, and we can send that message onto a Kafka queue from a RESTful request from a browser or anything else. So if we go ahead and send that, you can see our messages show up on the Kafka queue subscribed to a different topic. And then if we change that message, obviously you can see whatever we change it to end up showing up on that queue as well. In the future, the next piece that we'll end up releasing is the ability for us to poll that Kafka queue. And when that job is finished, and there are indications in that message that we need to resubscribe that, we need to re-emit that message to the caller, the original caller, we'll be able to do the full life cycle of event-based mesh or event-based services. And so that's Kafka inside of Kong Enterprise. So we've talked a lot about enterprise today. We've talked a lot about sort of the customer-based product, but we also love the community, and we have developed a lot of really interesting stuff, and arguably a demo that will blow any of my demos away in a minute here with that Guanlan will end up talking to you about. But I'd like to welcome to the stage Guanlan Dai, the manager of Core and Cloud, to talk to you about the open source advancements in Kong.
Hello, how's it going, everyone? All right, I'm Guanlan. I really like my job. One of the biggest reasons is I get interacted with our community. Our community is so vibrant. It's challenging sometimes. But when I say our code has been running everywhere and have the positive impact for your business, it's so rewarding. As our co-founder, Marco Palladino, said yesterday, open source is our DNA. I truly believe that. We was born from the community and has grown with the community. From side projects of the company grows into the world's most popular API gateway products with more than 100 million downloads in total. We cannot go far without the support, without the feedback from the community. Our engineering and product teams has working very hard over the year to deliver a lot of great features. If you're big enterprise customers, you have thousands servers, routes, maybe you have half dozens Kong plugins. You have lots of complexity. Don't worry, we got you covered. We have declarative configuration. You can integrate with your favorites CI/CD pipeline. You can choose your favorites version control to reduce your complexity. If a large banking company, your finance company, you have sensitive data, you have sensitive traffic, don't worry, we got you covered. With the mutual TS support, you are now able to encrypt it, all the traffic from Kong to upstreams. If you're a tech company, you're cutting edge, you want to play with gRPC, don't worry, we got you covered with the native gRPC proxy support. Now you are able to enable analytics, logging, observability, just enable a few Kong plugins. With that, I'm very proud to announcing Kong V2. As I mentioned, besides all the great features we've been built over the year, we also spend a lot of focus improving our performance to make our system more reliable, because we are the foundation of the whole company. Many of you are here might already use open source version before everything's purchased us. As you can see, gateway is the root of everything. It's make the whole life cycle complete. As a couple of folks might notice in a couple of slides before, there's cute gopher over there. So who loves Go? Make some noise. All right, all right. So who has Go in production? Make some noise. All right, okay, thanks folks. So according to a survey done by the Go team, in March 2019, with more than 5,000 participants, there's more than 69% are promoter according to the NPS score. And there's more than 89% of the participants says they are love Go in production. I think the Go has been getting much more mature and has very good library to use for networking, for your data analytics, and just get job done. It works great and fun. With that, I got announcing Kong Go support. Who wants to see some demos? Yeah. Let's do this. So let me show you a real plugin. It's a read-write from file logs we already have today. So as you can see, they have access phase, log phase, so it's very similar to what we're doing here, SCOM before for Lua, but it's actually everything right in Go. So let's try to compile that and get started. Underneath that, we build a Go bridge to make our internal talk to the Go plugins and provide a Go PDK to allow you to write plugin inside of Go. Next step, let's make a request. As you can see here, there's a header returns. There's nothing fancy here. What the purpose of this request, we will have this Go plugin right into your disk. So let's check the disk file. As you can see here, the file has been successfully injected the log entry of there. So let's make some changes on Go plugin. Let's comment the access phase to add a header called Kong Sumit here. So the message will be, hello from Kong Sumit. All right, let's recompile those things and restart. OK, let's make another request. As you can see, the header has been successfully injected. So easy as that. You can use your favorite Go language working with Kong. So I would like really excited to see what the innovation from the community by leveraging the mature community from the Go. One of the customers chat with me. They are from Asia. They are one of the biggest e-commerce website. They told me, we have tons of traffic. And because of that, we have to have a lot of code nodes. And actually, DB connection becomes an issue for them. So we released the DB-less mode for your make your deployments much lighter and also much easier. Also, it can leverage the good power from the Kubernetes, which Harry is going to cover next. But we do not stop there. We keep pushing for innovation. With that, I'm very proud to announcing we're going to introducing hibernate mode. It has our newly added data plane control plane separation. Let me explain how it works. So from the classical mode you can see here, every single cone has talked to DB. It's sometimes causing a lot of issues, as I said before. But with hibernate mode, you can deploy your control plane in anywhere, any cloud. You can enjoy the flexibility to access, to manage, to maintain your cluster everywhere. You can also choose to deploy the data plane on premise, which you can get maximum performance by local processing your traffic. So let me show you a quick demo. So first here, let's spin up 3 instances. One data plane on AWS. The role is more admins to control all the flows here. And the 2, one is in AWS and one is DigitalOcean, which is sort of like proxy your traffic. They are the data planes set to different clouds. So we are basically doing the multi-cloud environments here. Let's first check the health information. As you can see here, all the data plane has connected to the control plane, and it can return some useful health information. So let's make a request. As you can see here, all the data plane has successfully picked up the traffic routes to Mark Bin. So let's make some changes. Let's redirect our control plane to our Summit page. Let's see how it goes. All right, let's make some traffic. As you can see, the data plane pick up the configuration from control plane instantly. All right, so some of you folks might be curious. What if my control plane is done? What's going to happen? So let's try that. Let's kill the control plane. OK, control plane has been killed. Let's try rerun the traffic. As you can see, the traffic can still operational as normal. High availability, all right? Let's do not stop there. Let's go even further. Let's kill all the data plane. All right, let's try the traffic. So traffic's done. Let's restart it. As you can see, even we kill the control plane, no one send configurations. Also, we start the data plane, and you can see traffic is still working. Availability, 100% is a goal.